Okay, good afternoon. Thanks for watching. So today we're sorting out more artifacts. Let's go through the to-do list. So yeah, we're adding artifacts, lots of different ones. We've just changed a whole bunch of them. So they've completely kind of overhauling the artifacts and some of the talents so that they work for all people in the army, not just the hero. And that's caused us to have to like reprogram a couple things, change a couple things. But now it's there, and if we want to change it back, we can easily change it back. But it's there now. So I'm really excited about that. I think that's a really good improvement to the game. As I said yesterday, it's the kind of thing that you come up with after a nice Christmas break. You sort of look at it and you go, hold on, this is obvious. Why don't I do this? And that's the importance of having a break. And actually making use of your breaks. Okay, yeah, got it. I don't like Unity Hub. After a nice Christmas break, look at it and you go, hold on, this is obvious. Why don't I do this? I've got the stream open in another window. Right. So record who is doing the buffing on add buff as it's needed for artifacts. That's correct, because we have these artifacts which will proc something. They'll cause something to happen when they occur, and when the player character does the buffing, it should do extra, right? I could handle this another way. I could make it so that when the player actually does the buff, so it'd be, I could put it somewhere else, but I think it's easier to put it here so it's all together. This is the script where we add buffs, and therefore this is the script where we proc buff-based artifacts. So we need to make sure. I think. See, and it gets complicated. So yeah, if I just did this, if I just said, okay, we need character buffer, right? That will bring up a lot of errors, and I can use that to find all the bits where we're adding a buff, and that's where I can determine if the buff is coming from the player or not. It's a bit awkward because we've got this where we say add buff with a single thing, and so it's not going to catch those ones. So the right thing to do would be to let's find all instances of add buff. And there's a lot of them, but we can kind of pass a lot of them out. So for example, these are all from talents, right? These are all from talents for the ally. Okay, so all these ally instance ones, that's adding a buff because of a talent, because the buff system just works. It's not just for buffs as you think of them in game, but any talents that increase stats are considered buffs, because that makes it easier for the object pooling. Because when we create a character, we have to kind of reset them, and the easiest way to reduce their stats back down from their talent advantages is to use buffs to grant them talent advantages, and then the same system that removes buffs when a unit is and the same script that removes a buff applies, right? So let's look at these odd ones. So in this case, it would be visible would be false. See, I kind of think actually, I think this one is the culprit. Let's just get rid of this. We can always bring it back. We can always bring it back. Let's just comment it out. And let's make that like that. So now, if I go through all the errors, I should find all the instances where we're adding a buff, and I just need to put in there whether it's coming from the player or not. So this is an AoE effect. And so the bool buffer. Oh no, it's not a bool. So okay, so this is an AoE effect. So the buff is visible. Is true. Do we have visible? What is that? Is that like a Unity thing? No. So this would be true in this case because it's coming from an AoE effect. It's an in-game thing. And the buffer is the caster, shooter, character. The character who casted it. I probably should have caster, but I'm not going to change that right now. Caster would be a better word. All right. And so we just need to go through all of these. So here's another one. This is when we buff someone based. So this is when we're buffing the hero based on. So in this case, it can be null. Buffing the hero based on what talents what leafs they've unlocked. So it's their permanent stat upgrades. Again, using the buff system because it works well. It means they don't get like rebuffed every time. I've already explained that. Okay, so buff attack speed. So this is Orko's special buff. In this case, that is definitely this. The character who is doing this buff is Orko, and this is true. This is visible. I want players to be able to see it, and it is done by Orko, who is the character doing the ultimate. Okay. This is different. This is make item burst. And I kind of left that. I like using sort of error lines to help me find the code, bits of code that I need to edit. Shall we sidetrack? This is the fun of being a programmer. Agile development as well. It's like, okay, actually, instead, what I'm going to do is... So this is ultimate summon. This, I know, doesn't need to change. So I can just go ahead and add this to all of these. So this is this is the item burst. This is the little icon that appears to show that you've activated one of your artifact procs, and it should indeed happen on the character that is doing the ultimate in the case of ultimate triggers. Okay. So that was very painless. Okay, make item burst. When you get a big item, I think it's this again. I think it's the player. Okay, another buff. Make random buff. So this is in the event that... so it would be true. It is visible. And the buffer is the person making the random buff. Yeah. This. And in the event of cast random buff all, chosen buff, it would be true. And it would be the, I mean, again, the person who is doing the proc. It would be this, okay? Because we want to, procs will happen on the buffer, not the buffy. Is that right? Is that correct? Is that how it should be? Should it not happen on the person who's buffed? I don't know what the answer to that is. Should the buff proc happen on the person who's procced, on the person who's been buffed, or person who's doing the buffing? Yeah, because it matters that it's the hero. Because if the hero is doing the buffing, yeah. So okay, catching up with myself. Okay, so this one. So here we're going to do a lot of copy and pasting. Because it's character.add buff. So this is when we get a talent, we upgrade the hero. So this is indeed not visible. And the character is the character. Yeah, we're in GM, so I can't say this. Yeah. Okay. And that is going to be the case for all of these. Right? So I'm going to take this and I'm going to search for this and put that there, and that should do it. And I just need to pay most attention. Are there any instances where this wouldn't be the case? I mean, in this case, it really doesn't matter who is the buffer. It's not gonna... Except it might, yeah, because it would like proc a bunch of buffs when you get a talent. It would be like you get a talent that's just counted as buffing yourself. Therefore, it might proc the artifact, which I think it kind of makes sense, but I think would just confuse people. So in this case, the buffer would be null. Yeah, so yeah, I think that's right. Yeah. And then we just need to make sure that when we ask who the buffer is, it accounts for the possibility that it's null. But the game will tell me that if I make that mistake. Okay, so we'll just do upgrade.sprite over here. And the buffer is null. Because this is coming from a talent, it shouldn't be thought of as a buff in the way that the player will think of it. Are there any instances where there wouldn't be the case? No, I don't think so. AoE damage. Yeah, this works. Yeah. Yeah, because this is all just stuff that's happening like when I get the talent. It shouldn't be thought of as a buff. And then for the player, where's this null? Should be... Except we're not going to see it, but let's just keep that there in case I do change my mind on that. So there is, once again, we false null. Yeah, we don't want it visible. Not that it matters because it's on an NPC anyway, but don't want it visible, and we don't want it. And there's no character who's done this. Yeah. And I know I could select all and do a big find and replace on the whole block of code, but I think it's like giving me time to think and, you know, just in case there's like weird bits in between. It's just more comfortable, I think, for me to just mash it for a bit. Gives me time to think. Okay. This... I'm not even sure this ever this ever happens. Add frostbite. Let's do a search for it. This is like legacy stuff. So this is a talent that doesn't exist. Because this is for Mark, if you've got the Mark talent. This is for Frostbite, which was an old talent that I removed. But I like to kind of keep things there in case I want to bring them back for whatever reason. Rather than deleting work, it's always good to just have it there so you can bring it back if needed. So yeah, add buff. And so in this case, it's this should be a visible buff. And this is very much... that's a good fucking point. Excuse me. So, artifacts for applying debuffs. So some game design thought, right? I have two options. I can go, so so these are my options. One artifact for buffing and debuffing, right? Option number 2 is one artifact for buffing and another for debuffing. Right. So which of these options is better? Which should it be? Because in the case that we have an artifact for buffing and debuffing, it's going to be much easier to get those synergies, because it will be like, aha, this artifact is good for, and then we could say both. This artifact is good for both buffers and debuffers. It works in both cases, right? That makes it a good pick. And that's good. But if we have one for buffing and another for debuffing, it's less likely that this artifact will be a good pick for you. So that would be like a harder difficulty setting, right? However, it does feel more rewarding when you're being specifically rewarded for like a harder to achieve synergy. Like if there's just synergies left, right, and center, it doesn't feel as good. But if it's like, oh, I've specifically got an army of debuffers. I've got the Frost Mage and I've got all my wizards and witches, right? I've got the mage and the witch. So I'm doing all kinds of debuffs, and then the same one is good. That would also be good for if you have bannermen in your army, right? Then the other option, and so, you know, those are different styles, right? Like you're less likely to get a synergy in scenario 2, but in scenario 1, it's like, I don't know, I guess it's like a little bit too easy. There's less variety as well. And then the other option is to have both, which would actually mean all three, right? So I would have an artifact that works for buffing or debuffing, and I would have an artifact specifically for buffing, and I would have an artifact specifically for debuffing, right? See, that's not going to work, because that means that there's too many artifacts around the subject of buffing, right? So every time you get an artifact, you're always going to say another one to do with buffs. No, you want it to be, I mean, that could be mitigated, but so that would end up just with too many artifacts around buffing. One artifact for buffing and another for debuffing. I mean, we've kind of already got that, and I feel like that might be the way to. That's where I'm leaning towards. I'm leaning towards one artifact for buffing and another for debuffing, because we've kind of already got that. We've got double buff and we've got double debuff, which I think makes sense. So yeah, I'm going to add to this list. And luckily we're already sort of doing the work for it. Okay. And so the buffer is... Oh, unfortunately, add Frostbite. Other character... Why shouldn't these be on character? Anyway, so character dot so one character would be the attacker. And the same here. So we just need to record that. So this would be attacker. And once again, true attacker. Okay, and that, I think that should bring up an error. Oh, these have gone on the wrong side of the bracket. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that works. Thank you, babe. Right. So the next one. Target to add buff. So this is a projectile. Okay, so yeah. This is almost always going to be a buff or a debuff, so indeed it is visible. This is an in-field buff and shooter. And here's one of our add frostbites. So on this add frostbite moment, we have the target, shooter. So we just need to include the shooter. Shooter. Target. Wait, what's the last one? Amount. Okay, yeah. How much frostbite? How much mark? Yeah. So that's not very well programmed because that wasn't clear to me. Okay, and then here we have on a weapon. So this would be true, and yeah, the user of the that should be like wielder, and in this case character, yeah. And now actually we wouldn't need that last bit because we've already stored character. So maybe let's just sidetrack a bit and do that. Shouldn't this be like if it's greater than 0, shouldn't it be if it's greater than, yeah, I guess that's fine. And then we get rid of amount here. If attacker.marker. Okay, random side quest there, always done. And there's something quite neat about that, of having, you know, we're adding this. Well, yeah, this is probably all wrong anyway, but I just kind of have to fix the thing that I've set out to fix, and only occasionally get sidetracked. Okay, target and character. All right, apparently that works. So now, in all the events that we're storing a buff, and actually inside the buff itself is contained whether it's a debuff or a buff. Okay, I'm hoping this will all work, because it'll be a bit tricky to unpick otherwise. Right, yeah, so on character.addBuff. So we can get rid of this, and we can say yeah, so we've already got if buff.debuff is equal to true. So yeah, we will want to put this on the outside. And this would be if debuff is equal to true, it's sort of this one. Let's tidy that up. Else all of that. Right, so okay, and we have to ask in each case if so yeah, for these artifacts, if player value, I think, yeah, if buffer dot is on player team, is that right? You know what? This is bad. This is bad coding. I should fix this. No. If the buffer is on the player team, can it be better than that? It's just a thing to check. Are we? Is this person on the same team? Yeah, I think this is fine. Okay, let me know if there's a better way to program that. I just feel like it's a bit inefficient to go through the whole list of characters every time we want to buff. But okay, if buffer is on player team, and that would, because otherwise, like, not at all. Okay. And then, finally, back to where we were. If buff summon, chance multiplier, where do we get chance multiplier? Chance multiplier if buffer dot is player. And that's what all of this was for. All of the last 20 minutes or so of me programming was to get to this point where we can say, is the buffer a player? Is the buffer the player? If so, make that chance multiplier too. And now we can go through the rest of them. Chance multiplier, buff heal, yeah. So that number should be smaller. Buff heal, to heal, like it should be much less, like 2 at most. 2. And then we do the same as what we were doing before. If buffer is equal to gm.c. Might have to do like a if the character's not equal to null, if the buffer's not equal to null, for example. Not for example. Okay, so if the buffer is the player, then so if the buffer is the user, is the person who did the buffing. Sorry, if the buffer is not the player, then it's buffer. Yeah, it's the buffer who's healed. And if it's not the buff, and if it's the player who did it, heal all allies by 2. There you go. Right. Holy buffer. So this is the one that we don't need. Buff mana. So anytime someone is buffed, and then again, I think it should be like less. Buff mana. Double buff. We've already got that. Buff mana to gain 1 mana on buff. Yeah, I've already written it out there. So 1. And play hero gains. Should always be like hero gains double. Mana. Hero gains 5 out of... Yeah. Yeah, I need to look at those. Because I think when the hero... Yeah, okay, so 1 to 5. Is that how we're doing it then? 1 to 5. Let's just keep it consistent at least, right? So if I want to change them, I just change them all. Yeah, 1 mana above hero gains 5. So hero gains 5 mana potentially for buffing someone, which makes Scroll of Inspiration plus this insanely good. Insanely good. But maybe that's fine. I guess the thing to do sometimes is like, it's yeah, let the player fucking break it. Let the player do insanely strong things, and then just throw loads of enemies at them. But it's like you have to kind of crawl towards that. You have to you can't blow your load straight away. But like, I think this is one of those instances where it's like, yeah, we can allow this to be that powerful. Okay, so if buffer.isPlayer like we're doing isPlayer, yeah, okay, because that might return an error. It might be like, because to check if a buffer is a player. Oh no, I think, oh okay, that's better than I thought. It's just that we turn it on. It's not a function. Okay, I forgot about that. Okay, I thought it was a function for some reason, because is on player team is a function. Okay, that's much easier then. So if buffer is player, then else. I never use this because it doesn't. It's easier to copy paste. If buffer is player, June.c.player.restore mana 5. There we are. Buff reset. Okay, yeah. Do we have reset all? No, not yet. Okay. If buffer.isPlayer else reset. No, and it would be just me, reset me, and then if it's the player, for each character, and team 0. Is it just dm.team0? No. Character.reset. Okay. So that handles the buff ones. That does that. Record who's doing add buff as it's needed for artifacts, and we now have the buff artifacts working. I should comment them out to make it. Well, we don't need the comments out. I think it's just confusing because that's there. But yeah, you can just read these bits. Okay. And buff rain is legacy. Okay, that will work. So we have artifacts proccing when there's a buff. We did that. Okay. I'm going to pop these down. I'm going to pop that one down. And okay. Yeah, alright. So I want an artifact which does damage on healing and maybe a couple of them. So what are some things that could happen? So we have holy. Holy. So we have a bunch of artifacts that are to do with when you heal. Yeah, we can do healer dot this player. Don't have to do all of them, but so yeah, we have a bunch of holy artifacts: holy summon, holy buff, holy mana. Yeah. So could we have one that does damage to nearby enemies every time it heals? Like holy debuff? Holy debuff? No, let's stay off that. I guess I just wanted like an overheal one, just because it would be cool. So it would be like, does damage to nearby enemies when it heals. Yeah, like Holy Explosion. Yeah, Holy Explosion. So let's add that. So we need to go to our sprites. Are they not in here? No, we're in character still, so artifact. Holy. So like every time a unit's healed, there's a very small chance that they will cause an explosion. So we have holy. Let's put it at the bottom. Holy explosion. And then down by holy rain, which isn't there, which is correct because it's legacy. Let's just take holy reset and say holy explosion. Okay. And this is going to be like a 0.5% chance to explode when healed. Hero, double chance. How do I put it in the other ones? Double chance for hero. Double chance for hero. And is hero capitalized? I think it should be. Alright. I keep changing my mind on when things should be capitalized or not. Yeah, so when a hero is healed, they have a 1% chance to explode, which is obviously really good if they have like lifesteal and things like that. Yeah, that's awesome. That's really cool. Lifesteal should probably be a chance. No, it's probably fine. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if this is like broken. But that'll be fun if it is, right? Okay, so we need to go to Vengeful Explosion. And we're just going to copy this. And we're going to go to Holy. And there's on player team. We don't ask. Yeah, so I think the healer.is player was because if it's null, then it doesn't have a bool. I don't know. Well, there's going to be errors. Yeah, if healer is equal to gm.c.player, because then that's never null. There might be errors. Okay, Holy Rain and then Holy Explosion. Okay. And this, so this doesn't, we're not asking who the healer is yet. There could be no healer. We're asking if I'm on the player team, which is correct. And yeah, good, okay. We are proccing heals based on a character being healed, but we're proccing buffs based on a character doing the buffing. So in this case, we're actually asking if the healer is the player. I think this is correct. Yeah, if the healer is the player, then chance multiplier is 2, and certain things happen differently. It's not a matter of who's... Yeah, okay. But it happens when someone is healed. Yeah, that kind of works too. Yeah, okay. Just checking. Where was I? Holy explosion. And we've just copied that. It's the same. I know there's some nonsense there, but never mind. Okay, cool. Cool, that works. Artifact which does damage on healing. Again, we could do like it just does damage, but I think the explosion is cool, right? Lots of explosions. Summoner artifacts. Right, so we want to make a whole new set of artifacts. And stop me if I'm making too many artifacts, but I think it's like, actually this is a really important feature to the game. So we've got artifacts for when you crit, artifacts when you kill, artifacts when one of your guys dies, artifacts for when one of you... When someone is healed, artifacts for eating a chicken, artifacts for doing ultimate, ones that specifically help assist certain damage types, ones that help with that happen when you buff. So we can have another one that happens when a unit is summoned, and these would all be like, you could have one that's like when a unit is summoned, they might have their buff. So that would be like, so yeah, let's put this out. So the baseline is crit. So that's the one I always use. And I'm just going to change the word crit. So this would be on summon unit. So we could say, so now that the prefix would be like summon. No, like we want like another word. Like we have vengeful for when one of you guys dies, holy for when the proc is healing, chicken for when it's chicken. I mean, you know, the point is clarity. So evocative. I recently learned that evoke is like Spanish, it's summon in Spanish. So evoking summon sounds like well, no, that one's not going to be a thing. We're not going to have maybe summon on summon. In fact, which ones might we have? So we would have buff, summon, buff. We could have like good summon, which would be summon 2 whenever you summon one. That just seems a bit out of whack. So, but we could have summon buff. You know what? I'm gonna cancel this. Yeah, summon reset, but it would work for all characters. But then it's like, we're rewarding someone for summoning a lot, but you're already doing that by, you're already rewarding, like vengeful has the same effect, right? Because if there's lots of your dudes are gonna die. So, and if they don't die, then obviously you're doing too well. So I'm gonna cancel this order. I'm going to cancel it. Summoner artifacts, no. Artifacts for applying debuffs. This we should do. So we have, and again, kind of, like I said earlier, that I didn't want too many artifacts to do with buffs, but actually I think it's quite cool to have some artifacts to do with buffs, because, again, this is a game about having an army of dudes, and I want to make buffs powerful. I want them to be useful in a clever way, not just, you know, like so you'll be like, oh, buffing, that's boring, and then you realize all the things you can do with it. So on buff, so we already have double debuff, so we can say on debuff, double debuff sprite. So yeah, we have double debuff. I think double buff, I just want to put that at the top, because I think it makes more sense there. Double debuff. Debuff summon. So yeah, every time I debuff someone, I might summon something. Again, that's like a good one to have. Shit, do I want the summoner ones back now? No, because it's nice to have like a target of the thing and a user of the thing, but a summon comes from outside, doesn't it? Yeah, summon is an endpoint. It's a great endpoint, but not a great start point. So buff summon, yeah, so let's just copy all of these and delete as appropriate. Yeah, heal the one doing the debuff. Cut that one for now. Give the hero mana when we do a buff, yeah. And buff reset. Yeah, reset my cooldowns whenever I debuff someone. Yeah, okay. So we're just going to do dib. Okay, and then we'll go down and we'll copy and paste the buffs. And first remove double debuff. No, first, well, no, we'll just put it at the top and we'll just rewrite it. It's easier that way. All right, so we take the buff one. So we have, oh, hold on, didn't I? Yeah, double debuff should not exist in here. And then double buff should be, really doesn't matter, but while I'm annoyed by it, double buff and then all the other buff ones. Debuff. Double debuff, and then we want to take the word buff and replace it with debuff, and that is going to mostly work, except for capitalizing on the description. That's not too bad. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, when any debuff is applied to an enemy, 5% chance to double it. And then I think chance to summon a random ally on debuff. Yeah, I mean, I think that's obvious. Yeah. On debuff, because I don't want the text to be too long. I want it to just be like, figure it out. 10% chance to heal 2 on debuff. That's like means whenever you debuff someone. Like I can't imagine misinterpreting that. And any. Okay, and so we have this twice here. That's good to know. Debuff mana. Yeah. Makes sense, right? So for one thing, it is going to be more difficult to apply a debuff than a buff. So they should generally be more powerful as the debuff. But I think actually, rather than improving the debuff chances, it would be better to do it on to make the buff ones less powerful. I need to sort of check balancing on all artifacts. So like this would be the percentage chance. Just making sure that because sometimes it ought to be like so for adding buffs, for example. And I don't think I've like even had a go at balancing this yet. So like double buff, 5% chance to double it. Like that's fine. That's fine. Same with debuff, except it would be like a 10% chance to double it because it's more powerful. I think for buff is 5% is fine. Yeah, like we're talking about doubling buffs when we get them, doubling their power. Yeah, let's go all out. So let's do 10 and 20. Right, and each time I do this, so one is the description and one is the actual thing. I could do some clever thing where we interpret the description or we interpret the stats in order to give the description so I don't have to edit it twice, but this is what I'm doing for now. So we don't even have most of these written out. Let's do, so double buff is up there. And actually it's not on a chance. So if, so we need to do these if statements. It's not just doubling all of them. I don't think we should ever always double it because that might be a bit OP. It can be a very high chance, but I don't think it should ever be permanent. So this would be 10, no, 20 and 10. Yeah, okay. And I know with the decimals you don't have to put the 0, but it just makes it clear to me that I'm thinking of 10%. Right, buff value times 2, yeah. Okay, yeah, that works. So we have, I want to take, let's do these, let's balance buff, and then I can, because I actually haven't got it written yet, so yeah. Buff summon. I think, because you got to think like, so when there's a bannerman, like everyone's getting buffed like every 4 seconds at least. Right? Which could be insane. That's a lot of chances to summon. So I think we're talking about 0.5 and 1 for the heroes. So it would be buff summon. Chance is 0.05. We'll see how that goes. Buff heal. So I think I might have already looked at this, but let's just make this 1. Yeah, because it just could be ridiculously OP. It could just be ridiculous. And the other thing to remember is like heals also proc. So if you have this plus something that procs on a heal, that's like really, and you've got buffers, that you're just going to be healing your army purely through buffing. That's why what I think is so cool about this. And it's like, it's fine to have it on the player, but having it on the whole army, I think is going to be fun. I'm really excited to see what it's going to be like now. All right, buff mana. So what we would need to do, 10% chance to heal. Yeah, so buff mana. Yeah, so the number is correct because we can't go lower than 1. And I think double is too much in terms of the mana gain. 10% chance to so yeah, so we're looking at buff heal, buff mana, 25% chance to gain 1 mana. Let's make that a nice low 10% to gain 1 mana. That's like could I spreadsheet it? I don't want to spreadsheet it, but it's like what's actually more powerful, because you got to think mana, depending on which hero you're using, can directly turn into summons, right? Should we do that maths? I can't really be bothered, but let's give it a try. So we've got like if I've got a 0. What was it? A 0.5% chance to summon. And let's say like over, and then a 10% chance, and then a like so like 100 mana is, I think, like 40 units, right? 100 mana is 40 units, and if I've got 10% chance, I don't know. Yeah, like it's crazy math. The thing is, it's not going to be balanced in terms of like, oh well, whatever number we end up with, it should be the same. It's going to depend on like how what the actual outcomes are when the game is played. It's like it could be equal. I'm not good at maths. You don't have to be great at maths to be a coder, but it probably helps. So like 100 mana is equal to 40 units. So we're getting... So how many units are we... So yeah, that would be 40 divided by 100 equals... So we're getting 0.4 units per bit of mana, right? We're getting nearly half a unit for each mana we get. So that would be like times 10 equals 4. Yeah, so 4. So and then we're basing that against the chance to just summon one outright, right? So if I've got a 10%, so I think this is about right. I don't know if I'm making myself clear, but I guess different manas will have different outcomes, and yeah, I guess it's fun to have that be a bit higher. But yeah, I think I'll move on. There is a sort of maths you could do there, but I think it would be futile. But also, I'm not very good at it, so you know, double whammy there. I mean, I feel like that 4 was like, okay, yeah, that's a 4%, like that would be weighed against the 0.5% to just outright summon. I don't know. But again, it depends on what hero you have. I mean, it might be different. Maybe 5%, maybe 10% is too high. We'll know, because what you want is for it to feel like you're getting mana. Like, oh, I'm buffing everyone, give me mana. I'm going to lower it to 5. Okay. 5% chance to gain 1 mana on buff. And then over and add buff. Buff mana, 5% chance. And then we have buff reset. 5% chance to reset all weapons on buff. Is giving mana equivalent to resetting cooldowns? I mean, shit, that's like, I'll buff someone, and then if I buff a big group of allies, then I'll just do my buff again because I've just reset the cooldown. But the thing to remember is that you cannot buff what is already buffed. If the buff already exists, we don't run any of this code. It returns, it stops. So, yeah, so it's actually not going to happen that often. That's the other thing to think about. You would need like different units with different types of buffs and everything. Okay, yeah, so buff mana, that's fine. 5%. Let's just we'll see how it plays out. I mean, reset would be good. Let's just go ahead and pump it up. Let's pump it up. Make that a nice juicy 10% because it's the other. Because again, like I'd said, if it's the same buff that's just going to trigger again, well, they've already got the buff. It's not going to buff them again. So if it goes boom boom, that's fine, because it's not going to hit anything. But that would be cool for the other weapons that they have, if they have any others. Again, remember, most units have one weapon, most friendly units. Yeah, cool. Very cool. I'm excited to play it. I think this is a very good improvement to the game. Alright. Oh wait, that's debuff reset. No! $10 here. 5 here. That's correct. Okay, so now for all of the debuff ones, I sort of think a good baseline would be like double it. So what was double buff? So double buff is like 20% chance. Let's go with 10. And then we can go to 20 with the other one. So that's double debuff. No. Okay, I'm confused because they're in... it should be the other way around, but it's fine. Okay, so 10. Yeah, 10% chance. When any buff is applied to an ally, 10% chance to double it. When any debuff is applied to an enemy, 20% chance to double it. Double chance for hero. Yeah. Double chance for hero. Okay, I hope that's not too wordy. On buff, 10% chance to double it. On debuff, okay, so that's 10%, 0.5. So this should be 20%, 1%. Wait, is that fair? Yeah, like double. I mean, I don't know if we're going to have like big radial debuffs. Maybe we will later. So yeah, let's just double. Maybe it should be more generous than just doubling. Like rather than doubling, it should be like quadruple. So we go from times 5. So we go from 10% to 50%. Yeah. So 0.5 becomes 2.5. 10% becomes, is that right? Well, it's correct here, yeah. So buff heal, 10% becomes 50%. And I guess the healing amount is 1, and we can also double. No, I think just 1 is fine. I think 5 in both cases, actually. Double buff summon 0.5, buff heal is was a 10% chance to heal 5, and buff mana is a 5% chance to gain 1 or 5. Yeah. Buff reset is a nice chunky 10% chance. Okay, and then so 50, 2.5, 50, and what was buff mana? 5, so yeah, 25, and debuff reset 10 would be 20. Okay. Buff heal, buff mana is, all these numbers are correct. So now for debuff, we're just going to copy and paste that. I'll skip the rain. We're going to copy and paste into, except for double, into debuffs. Debuff heal, debuff mana. It's just not too many instances, so I can do it manually. There we go. And we've got, okay, so spawn ally. And so in each case, I'm just going to multiply the chance by 5. So 2.5%, yeah. And then 5. 5. It's putting the O's so that it's always clear to me that it's a percentage. Okay, and that should work. Now we just need to make sure that it's the, is it the buffer or the buffy that these happen to? So, or is it the character? Like, so heal would be debuffer. So, or the buffer in this case, just calling it the buffer. So yeah, so the buff value is doubled. That's universal. The debuff summoned. So we summon, that doesn't have anything to do with the person who did it. Debuff heal, we heal the buffer. Debuff mana, it's for the player. Debuff reset, and yeah, okay, and debuff reset should be the buffer who resets, unless it's the player, in which case it's everyone. And the person that happens to, the thing should appear on the debuffer. Yeah. Okay, I can feel the synergies. They're going to be fun. Okay, so now we have debuff ones. Let's do the art for them. We don't have a universal symbol for debuffs. So these are crits, kills, deaths, heals, chicken, ultimate. What's these ones? Oh yeah, special damage and buffs. So what I'm interested in is, I wish I could copy a bunch of these at once. So yeah, I think a debuff would be this shape with this color, right? So copy it. Yeah, I think I've got like a double up for holy and thingy, but I'll just, it's fine. I'll just keep doing it like that. Change it later. All at once when we do change it. That's not going to work. Let's just keep copying them. So we've got each of them there. And then what I want to do is bring all of them down. So these are all in the same order. And these are all in the same order. And then it's easy for me just to, I think, a better color then would be this purple. Or just like a different red. So just make a new color. So this is the universal color for debuff. I mean, for now. What would be a good color for debuff? Because it hasn't come up again anywhere else. I guess if it does come up again, we can come up with a better color for it. But I think this kind of purplish, yucky purple shield is enough to say debuff. Okay, so let's export that. And again, I'm just looking for placeholders at the moment. I just need something there so that when I do go to change it, I can just be in a purely artistic mood, edit this, export it over that file, and then it's done. I don't have to do anything else. Okay, so yes, we are saving over artifacts. And yeah, let's save all of this. And let's get our artifact script. Do we have, oh, let's go through the errors. Okay, yeah. All right, we'll have to switch our brain on for a bit again. So enemy spawner, the buff is not visible and the buffer is null. Like this. Very good. And any more? Make item burst on. So these are the chicken artifacts. Okay, yeah. So these would be appearing on the gm.c.player. So I'll just go and copy paste those, not too many. compile that. Very good. That's taken a while. There we are. Oh, is that everything then? Okay. So I believe, oh no, don't open that. I believe artifacts for applying debuffs are in. They will, oh yeah, no, I need to click and drag them. That's why I was compiling. But yeah, that's basically it. So Holy Explosion. Oh, I didn't do Holy Explosion. I should do that. So we have Holy. And we have Explosion. So this would be, so let's make another Holy. Get rid of layer 2. Let's get our Explosion. Pop that in. And unfortunately, we're going to have to put that lower down out of its group, just because that means less clicking and dragging for me. But we will put it before our new ones. Okay. Is that right? That's not right. Yeah. Holy Explosion. Right, okay. Let's export that again. No, not resize. Export. Artifacts. Yes. Okay. And then we go in and grab it. And see, yeah, no, now it's gone wider again. I can just make it longer. I think I will do that just to save myself. So 8 rows. No, we want, yeah, we want 7 columns. There we go. And then it moves up. It's so annoying. It's so bloody annoying. Why does it move up? Like, or rather, why are all of these moving down instead of moving up? Right? I just want to add the ones at the bottom. Okay, I'm going to try something. It's a bit scary. But basically what I do is I re-slice and I want to see if most of the references are still there. Right? No, I don't think that's going to work. Because there would be gaps. So I think what I need to do is I need to move all of these up. And I can go plus 64, which is a bit easier. So I just grab each one and do this. But do I really, is this really the way? I can't think of a better way to do it. Like, to fix it. There must be a way to just grab all of them and move them up. Right? Or just so that when I import an image, keep the top ones where they are, right? So it should be like -y to go down, like. And I don't know if there's some way. I mean, the thing I could do is build them backwards, so like make all the new ones appear at the top of the sprite sheet like this. But then it wouldn't work unless there was an even amount, right? Because if I add one, it goes like that, right? From left to right. Let's just do it. Let's just do it with the plus 64 method. What a pain. If anyone watches this and knows a way to fix this, to make it so it's not like this. I mean, has this really never come up? Am I the first person to have, or like in the first 100 people to have encountered this? I'm not going to bother reporting it because I can't be bothered, but so maybe that's the issue. Maybe no one else could be bothered to report it, but I don't know, like there just must be a better way. I guess I could just always make sure to add an even amount of rows. So like whenever I add a new one, I'll just make sure to add 7 at a time. So that, or whatever the width is. Ah, what a pain in the ass. Well, I hope everyone's having fun today. Whoever's watching this after the fact, because no one's watching it live right now. We did have a few people earlier. What an utter pain. And the thing is, I'm gonna have to do this again. I'm gonna have to do something like it. I think next time I will say, all right, from now on, I'm gonna do that thing of just adding 7 to the top. If I had 3 to the top, it will move them all along a bit. If I had 7 to the top, it will move them all down evenly. It's just like, yeah, there's ways around it. There's better practices to avoid this happening, but I just feel like, why not just add space to the bottom? Why make the bottom 0? Like, that seems unintuitive. The top should be 0. Just like it is in the rest of Unity. Almost there. Managed to reduce the clicks at least. And then here we go, and then we go 64. 64, and then we make the new ones. Lovely stuff. Okay. And then we grab our artifacts thingy, and then we click and drag them on. So, Holy Explosion is here, here, and these all still correct. Holy Buffer, if I grab some random ones and they're still correct. Holy Rain, critical mana, yeah. So double debuff would be this one, and then debuff summon, debuff heal, debuff mana, and debuff reset. There they are. Okay. Alright, that is in fact buffs done. Right, double helix. What was I thinking there? Oh, any heal could be doubled. Yeah, any heal can be doubled. So I don't know if I should come up with a clever name for it or just stick to this very kind of rigid thing. But yeah, good heal. Or double heal. So first we make space for the sprite. I guess we'll put it at the bottom. And we'll call it good heal. And we'll put it here. We'll say good heal. And we'll say all healing is doubled. What am I putting it there for? Good heal. All healing is doubled? All healing. Yeah. 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 We've got double debuffs. We've got, but that is a chance. All melee damage is doubled. Yeah, let's do 50% chance to double healing. All healing. Let's go 25 and then it's 50 for the player. And this is good heal. Okay. Once again, we'll draw that. So we're looking at holy. We're taking this background, so we'll delete layer 2. And we're putting on the foreground for like damage. And we'll put this right at the bottom. Surely there's a better way. I guess I could copy paste it. Okay, there we go. Right, all new artifacts I want to do before I start doing that. Change all buffs and talents to have less emphasis on the player. Well, that I have done. That has happened. That's what I've been doing. Artifacts tutorial. Startifact. Don't show talents as buffs. Check. Heroic artifacts can only be procced by the hero but are much more powerful. Yeah. Tutorial. So make sure I'm explaining how talents work in the tutorial. Make orcs have 4 allies and weapons. So these are little bits. Little cheeky ones, not big changes. Wolf armor back to spiked armor. And then this I need to think about. Mark and permanent marker. Mark is fine. As long as it's just the player doing it. Is that, but it kind of doesn't really fit in the same paradigm anymore. But yeah, okay, mark is like a way for me to team up with my allies. I mark them, they hit them. And I want to make sure that spawn ally. Yeah, so mark. So we have a buff called marker. And if we have mark, so when we add the talent, where's mark? Okay. Okay, yeah, so that applies to the hero, and does it apply to the... Yeah, see, this shouldn't apply to allies. Well, maybe it should. Yeah, and the marking happens after. And the allies version of the mark is weaker. Yeah, okay. So is that good? Yeah, mark is good. Okay. And at least I can change it later. It's not fundamentally broken. And when we mark someone, buff marker, when we mark someone, yeah, that counts as a buff. Yeah, and it just gives them a buff, and it just increases. Well, yeah, there's marker, and then there's marked, which will do the buff value, and it like carries on from. It's a bit awkward, but it's like if you're a marker. Wait, what's this? Yeah, if you're a marker, then you will mark anything you hit, and if the buff is the same, so if we do the buff is the same, if it's the same name, it like won't apply twice. If b.value is greater than buff.value, b.value equals no, buff.value equals, no, see, yeah, that's weird. It's like if you've already got a weaker version of the buff with the same name, then you won't get the fresh one. I don't know, is that good? Does that work? So it's like if someone's done a weaker version of, like, hit an enemy before me, they've applied a weaker version of marked. I think it's fine. I mean, again, we might just remove marked because it doesn't really work in this paradigm anymore. And then so permanent marker definitely needs to change, right? So that's design. Check balancing on all artifacts. I've kind of been doing that, but I guess I should check all of them. Just have a little go through rather than playing it and seeing it go nuts and, you know. Okay, so that's all the artifacts we want to make. So yeah, we can indeed, for now at least, export that. Go in here. Make the new one. Oh, don't do this to me. No, just keep. Just go away. Go away. I'm scared. Just go away. No, we want to do this with 7 rows. And what it should do is just pop the last one into, because it shouldn't overflow yet. So basically, when it overflows, instead of letting it overflow, like I'll do the next 4, and then I'll start like adding them from the top, so that I don't have to like shuffle them all down each time I make a new row. And then we have good heal, and it's down here. Very good. Okay. Oh yeah. All right. Artifacts tutorial. Do we already have a bit of tutorial that's for artifacts? Yeah, so we should have a tutorial for upgrade scene, replacing scene, combo scene, artifact scene. We should have a tutorial for artifacts. And And the other one is to change a bit of the text. So okay, your first upgrade, Anna's okay, yeah. So we can have a separate one for talents. Let's get back in here. So replacing scene, combo scene. So yeah, let's find this one. So this is like when we get an upgrade. Oh, do we not have that? Okay, yeah, we don't have a replacing scene. Combo scene is equal to false, then okay, so I'm gonna do if upgrade scene, and then if combo scene, if combo found. But before that, it's like if talent scene is equal to false. So I want them to see a talent and then otherwise do this. Like this. So we're saying, have you seen a talent before? Otherwise, don't even do this yet, because this can come later. So talent scene. Talent scene. Yeah, so first of all, let's do artifact scene. Let's just change this one, because we know we weren't using it. Talent scene. Okay. So yeah, combo scene, let's show this part. No, come on. Where was it? Oh, it's moved, I guess. Oh, starting to fry a little bit. So we have level up UI. Scene, okay. Talent scene equals true. And I want to do all the same stuff that we do for this, but instead do it for this. Yeah. We're not going to worry about translation, so we'll just explain weapons and talents. Weapons are equipped to your hero. Talents, I guess we'll put the color red. Equipped to your hero. Talents green are apply to your whole army. And actually, yeah, that whole thing about mark, like, so basically it applies, allies get half the benefit. Do I need to make that clear here? Talents green apply to your whole army. Your hero receives double the benefit of talents, which means that for the descriptions I should be giving what they do for allies rather than heroes. And yeah, that works. Weapons read or equipped to your hero. That's simple. Talents applied to your whole army. Your hero receives double the benefit of talents. And we will capitalize hero. At least be consistent within the same bit. And yeah, that will work. Talent scene. Because even if there's no talents, like it would be a bit awkward if all the picks are allies again. But can we do that? If combo found, no, I think it's easier just do it like this. I mean, it's very unlikely that they would get only ally picks for the second pick. But if they do, I'm sure they'll forgive the. You know, we're still explaining things. This is still true and vital information. Okay. Artifacts tutorial. Yeah, never mind that. Talents. Yeah, so that's done. And yeah, to go with that, I need to go into upgrades. And I need to say, yeah, armor. And this is a bit of a tedious one, actually. But I think it's good to stay consistent and shouldn't take too long. I guess I need to be sure that I'm committed to this change, but I am. I've spent a good amount of time thinking about it. Okay, armor. So we want to be giving half the value in each case. So yeah, tedious work here. I can find by 20%. Except, yeah, by 20%, that will almost always be the thing. So we go by 10%. 1, 2, 3. That's crit rate, that's an exception. AoE, damage, wolf armor. That's going to change, but okay, these are all, yeah. Armor. Okay, good. So now, let's find all instances. So that's not that many. What about, surely... Ah, okay. So this would be... Okay, so that should have the same language. Alright then, so this would be increases stat by %. So increases attack speed, crit and movement speed by 10%. So we want the word increases here, here, and here, and we want by 15, by 20, by 25. And that would be the same with increases. Very tedious work. Increases. Has to be done though by, what was it, 10, 5, 15, 25, 20, Okay. So back to where we were. We've got armor 10, 15, 20, 25, 10, 30. So if we say buy 30, any instance of buy 30, we can say buy 15 and just check them as we go. Yeah, 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 yeah. Okay, and then we'll do by 30, by 40%, and we'll change all of those. And I need to look at crit rate. Is that all right? Yeah. So permanent marker needs to change because it used to be like a big exciting thing that it applied to allies. So let's look at crit rate before I forget. Okay. So crit is 2.5, and I believe that the actual stat crit, for God's sake, crit rate 0.51, 1.52. I think, yeah, 0.5, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 0.51, yeah, it's just a bit lower because crit is a bit OP. Maybe it's not anymore, I don't know, but let's just, so we want 2.5, 5, wait, is this right? No. This is ally instance, 0. So 5, 1, 15, 2. 5%, 10%, 15%, 20%. Okay, yeah. Okay. So that's all accurate now. All right. We'll see if there's any instances where it isn't. Artifacts tutorial. So tutorial. So it's in HUD artifacts. Yeah. GM's artifact UI.open, and then on that we'll say so we'll just go and grab this, and we're going to do the same thing as the tutorial, and I hope it will just work out of the box. So we want gm.c.hud. And then I was just looking over the brown bits there, see if anything was found, and it wasn't. So then don't worry about the localization. We've got yeah, like, congratulations, you have obtained an artifact. Artifacts are powerful boosts which I mean, I guess because we're already explaining, yeah, which can affect your whole, I mean, we've already explained it, but I think it's fine. Your whole army. Your hero receives double the benefit, or yeah, like your artifacts boost which can affect you and your whole army. Like, how do I say this is a game changer? Are boosts which can affect you and your whole army if combined with the right upgrades and other artifacts. They can be extremely powerful. All caps, because they really can. Okay. That's all going to probably be overhauled at some point, because I want to be like, I guess the baseline I want to use is like a ball pit when you get your combo balls, basically when you get your big upgrades in there. It's a similar thing. The similar games where we want to just be like, oh shit, you got one of these, you know. But for now, we can just tell the player. Combined with the right upgrades and other artifacts, they can be extremely powerful. Yeah. And then that should work out of the box. Add start. Okay, wait. Let's do some easy ones, and then I think I'm going to take a break. Make orcs have 4 allies. So factions. It would be like max weapons, max allies. So let's find these. So yeah, we just get rid of this. And because yeah, I don't think that worked out. They already have, like, there's more options of weapons for them than allies, but I think it's just you need there needs to be parity there, otherwise it's going to be way too difficult to balance. Change wolf armor back to spiked armor. That's a good idea. So wolf armor was an upgrade which had the special thing that it upgraded quite a few stats, but that's kind of done by space and time magic now. Those are the ones which give you like a range of upgrades. So change wolf armor back to spiked armor. So I think we already have spiked armor. We do. So this was a legacy one that I decided to get rid of. And we want to say, yeah, and it's the same, like that's what it used to be. Deals 30 damage. Is that right? Again, we want to make it that this is the version that will work for allies. So yeah, let's just do 10. Let's just half it. I don't know about the balancing for this, because it's like ideally you shouldn't be getting hit, right? Yeah, 10, 15, 20, 25. Spiked armor. The requisites are the same. Wolf armor. no longer exists. So we will just comment that out. And then we need to make sure spiked armor, does it have and just hopefully all of these things are correct, that they should work. Okay. Let's put this next to where Wool Farmer was, and that way I can just quickly check combined faction prereqs, combined faction prereqs. Yeah, it's all there. All the things that need to be there are there. And Wool Farmer, it can stay there for now, but generally it should go into the sort of unused area of this script. What? What do you mean Unicode? I don't know what it means. Yes. Okay. Change Wool Farmer back to spiked armor. Yep. That's done. Very simple. So that's Wool Farmer back to spiked armor. And I need to make sure that it actually happens. Okay. Yeah, and it still works. So target, so take damage, piercing, yeah, it always pierces. Still crit chance. Damager would be... Wait, should crit chance be 0? Should be the character's crit rate, right? Like it can crit. Lifesteal, target, lifesteal. I guess it should all just be from character, but never mind. Okay, piercing is 10, like it just goes through, it will go through shields and whatnot. Damage is the, and finally the damager is target. Okay. This is for an AoE effect. Do we want this to work for AoE effects? Like, should this work at ranged? Do I want to bother with like do a range check? Or do I just want to make this happen on melee weapons? I mean, the thing is, AoE effects are melee weapons. Melee weapons trigger AoE effects. It's just they're very small and localized. Let's do a, yeah, if character's not equal to null. Add mark works. Is that how add mark happens? I guess it is. Why wouldn't it just happen like a normal debuff? Because it happens from all of their attacks, that's why. Otherwise it would come from the weapon. Yeah. Okay, so this is the right place for it. Character that take damage. If... See, yeah, I need to like check the proximity before doing that, I think. It should only happen if they're close. unless it just happens for all weapons. I mean, what's better? Like, you've got an army of people with spiked armor, and the enemy shoots a fireball at you. Thing is, the AoE effect, yeah, I think that ends up being owned by the shooter. So is that the same with a projectile? Let's find all of it. If target.spiked armor. Okay, it also happens for a weapon. For a melee attack. But also for... Oh yeah, no, we don't need to check everything. So like if vector 3 dot distance other dot transform target dot character transform what's the problem? Oh, dot position is less than 3, 2, 2. Yeah. Okay. So I'll pop that here. Oh wait, no. I want to keep... So yeah, this should be 10... other dot crit chance, other dot lifesteal, other. They'll always be, yeah, okay, and copy this. Do a quick distance check. Hopefully that does. Yeah, I don't think distance checks are too expensive. Optimization wise. All right, ads start. Okay, yeah. So capital C character. God, it's very, very awful. Practices there. Okay. So that's adding an artifact. I need to like re-engage my brain and figure out how to do that. That's changing mark and permanent marker. So that's a bit of design that I need to do. And checking balancing is again just like kind of design, go through and just sort of at least have like a first draft. So yeah, I need to design, I need to figure out what's going to replace permanent marker and should I change the way that mark works. Should I make higher, so like, yeah, this yeah, make higher value debuffs override lower value ones. So this might be a simple one. And then the thing is, do we want it to reapply it, as in do we want it to proc a buff? I guess yeah. So add buff. So we say if, yeah, so here I add buff. So if the buff is already there, yeah, if b.name is equal to buff.name. So if the buff, if there's a buff with the same name already there, then then refresh the time. Buff proc, so we can collapse this. Modify the stats. Yeah, so then we modify the stats. So currently, if a buff has the same name, it's just gonna overwrite it. Like it's just gonna refresh it. But if it's better, it should replace it. So yeah. Okay, make sure, because that's awkward, because then what we need to do is we need to remove it, or we need, like, it's so let's say we added a buff, right? It would do its thing, and it would like add on top of the other one. Or it could just, like, if there's different buffs of the same name. Oh wait, so yeah, the named ones would be different. So like, do we have so the way that works is they have different names. So for example, the banner, yeah, weapons has a different name. Yeah, it has a different name for the different buffs. So is that the case for fire buff? Yeah. So and marked. Okay, so we would need to take that tier of upgrade into account. So it could stack, right? So basically, if two different, if I have two different buffs of me that are the same, like if I have a tier 3 armor buff from my, if I have a level 3 banner buff and a level 2 banner buff, they just go on top of each other. That's fine, because that's kind of rare. But now that we've got this buff where the player is going to be buffing them, like the player's going to be debuffing and then the other unit's going to debuff them too. And then of course, like, yeah, like would a high level fireball, I guess because the buff is the same, so it doesn't matter. Okay, that's fine then. But for marked, it's complicated. And that's the only one where it's complicated for. I guess frostbitten, but that's not a thing at the moment. So I need to change, yeah, mark and permanent marker will need to be changed. So, yeah, getting confused here, but basically, yeah, mark should change because it doesn't really work in this paradigm. It will be a bit confusing. And unless it's like more powerful, and then permanent marker will need to be changed. Okay, so that is true. Check balancing, add higher value buffs, make higher value buffs, override lower value ones. So this only applies to marked. Add start artifact early on the beanstalk. Okay, yeah, and that just requires me to change my, wear a different hat for a minute. Okay, I'm going to end the stream there. Thank you for joining, everyone who joined, more than usual. Yeah, I'll probably take a bit of a break and then come back to it either tomorrow or later today. All right, thanks very much. Cheers, goodbye.